it'd be easier to hand launch because the prop blast across the tail section, let's say it's 20 miles an hour. When you hand launch it, you got 20 miles an hour going across the tail of that split second. Let's say you hand launch it 10 miles an hour, you got immediate 20 mile an hour elevator authority.
Okay.
Ducted fan, you launch it at 10 miles an hour, you got 10 mile an hour elevator authority. There's no
Right.
prop blast on
Right.
the side of the airplane. So ducted fan airplanes are typically harder to hand launch. And I got this idea a couple of years ago, I built this thing a couple of years ago. And some of the unique problems I had was I wondered if I could bind two receivers at one time to a given airplane channel on the transmitter. Because I had to have a separate transmitter, a separate receiver down here to power this servo, and of course the flight pack in the airplane. So I put both the airplane and the receiver in the bind mode, and they bound. So you can bind two receivers to one channel. You could buy two of these airplanes and put them in bind mode and bind it to one channel and fly either one on that channel. One of the problems I ran into was on the bottom of the airplane, I took a aluminum hot rivet and glued it into the tail to go on this piece of wire here on the servo. When I throttle up on the airplane, the pin comes down out of the hole and launches the airplane. And I had to cut it, I had this pin cut long, and when I put the airplane to 3/4 throttle, I cut the pin flush with the top of that piece of tubing. So that'd be the release point, 3/4 throttle. But I also had a problem with the servo direction. If I've got my throttle on my airplane low and high conventional, and the servo's backwards, I can't do any reversing in the transmitter because then it'll be reversed on the airplane. So I had to flip flop and move the servo around to where when I throttled up, the servo pulled down. And Randy Sleepy and I took it out the other day for the first time and flew it. And another problem, I put it on the shelf for a couple of years because I couldn't. I went on the internet looking for generic lengths of rubber band.
Okay.
And it's one of the rare things I couldn't find anywhere on the internet. I couldn't find a 50-foot spool, a 1/4-inch rubber band, or 50-foot spool. Nothing was out there. So I got the idea of just tying a bunch of number 64s together, and that came out being a good deal because I can move them up here in these slots and relax or increase the tension on. I found 18 rubber bands, which we found ideal. And Randy and I flew it the other day, and it was flawless. It goes literally with no exaggeration. It goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, it's hauling butt. But it's with the AS3X. When you fire up the AS3X, you're supposed to have the airplane level on a flat surface, and it takes that as level flight. When it launches off the end of this, that AS3X takes over, and there's hardly nothing for you to do. Just let it go on out and then put it in a curve when you want to. But maybe I'll see it out in the field soon.
All right.
You have to put it in a curve pretty quick or it'll go out of sight.
All the time. It's my thing all the time.
Well, then, Wayne,